Wouldn't it be amazing to stand in the exact spot where Jesus lived in Capernaum? Wouldn't it be wonderful to be in the house where Jesus healed Peter's mother-in-law? Wouldn't it be totally exciting to look down from the place his friends lowered a paralytic into the house of Jesus? Yes, it'd be amazing, wonderful, and exciting. Moreover, it is possible. Watch this video to learn where Jesus' home was, and how we can be sure about it. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel for more updates on exciting archaeological discoveries that show the Bible is true. Many of the stories about Jesus take place in the village of Capernaum. Matthew tells us in his gospel that Jesus moved from Nazareth and went to live in Capernaum. Is it possible to find out where exactly he lived? As it turns out, yes, it is. Let's have a look at what the Bible and what archaeology says. The first thing that we know Jesus did near Capernaum was to call the fishermen Peter, Andrew, James, and John as his first disciples. That Sabbath he taught in the synagogue of Capernaum. Afterwards, Mark 1:29 says, immediately he left the synagogue and entered the house of Simon and Andrew with James and John. This raises the first question. Elsewhere, in the Gospel of John, it is said that Bethsaida is the city of Peter and Andrew. So critics say, the Bible is not consistent. Is Peter from Bethsaida or from Capernaum? But there really is no need to choose. Peter was probably born and raised in Bethsaida, but now lived in Capernaum. It's not strange to say about someone living in Chicago he is from New York. So Peter, who was from Bethsaida, lived in Capernaum. That's only about 5 kilometers to the west. It's easy to think of a reason for a fisherman to move from Bethsaida to Capernaum. Bethsaida, which was on the east bank of the Jordan River, was under Herod Philip's jurisdiction, but Capernaum, which was on the west bank, was under Herod Antipas. The only fish factory on the Sea of Galilee was in Magdala, a town in the same jurisdiction as Capernaum, and Peter and Andrew had to have their fish processed, air-dried or salted, for sale outside the immediate area. Bethsaida's fishermen had to cross the border with their catch and pay tax. Peter and Andrew probably escaped this tax by settling in Capernaum. So what happened after Jesus entered Peter's house in Capernaum? He stayed there. For in Mark 1:35 we read, very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house and went off to a solitary place, where he prayed. And when Jesus, after a preaching tour through Galilee, came back to Capernaum, this house had become his home, as we read in Mark 2:1. A few days later, when Jesus again entered Capernaum, the people heard that he had come home. So the house of Peter in Capernaum was the home of Jesus. This is consistent with Jesus' own claim that he had no house of his own. As he said, foxes have holes, and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. Would it be possible to find the exact place of Jesus' home? For that, we have to take a closer look at Capernaum. The town was founded in the 2nd century BC during the Hasmonean era, when a series of new fishing settlements appeared around the lake. It was located along the lake's northwest shore without a protective wall. During Jesus' time it was a smallish village with probably around 1,500 inhabitants. It remained inhabited until the 10th century, after it was abandoned. Its ruins lay forgotten until they were discovered in the 19th century. The excavation of Capernaum began in the late 19th century by European explorers seeking to uncover the ancient village that was mentioned in the Bible as the home of Jesus Christ. The first major excavations were carried out by a team led by the German archaeologist Heinrich Kohl in 1905 to 1907. Kohl's team uncovered the ruins of the ancient synagogue, which was built of black basalt stone and decorated with elaborate carvings and inscriptions in Aramaic and Hebrew. They also found the remains of a Christian church built on top of the synagogue in the 5th century AD. Excavations continued throughout the 20th century, with many significant discoveries made by Israeli archaeologists such as Yigal Yadin and Naaman Avogat. They uncovered the remains of several houses and public buildings, including a Roman-era villa and a market area. Excavations of Capernaum have provided important insights into the daily life of the people who lived in the village during the Roman and Byzantine periods. They have also shed light on the religious and cultural significance of the village as a center of Jewish and Christian activity. Today, Capernaum is a major archaeological site in Israel and a popular destination for tourists and pilgrims seeking to explore its ancient ruins and learn about its history. But one discovery in Capernaum stands out above all others. An Italian archaeologist named Antonio Barbagallo conducted excavations at the site in the 1960s. He discovered what many believe to be the house of Peter in Capernaum. But it is credible? According to the account, Barbagallo was conducting excavations in the area around the ancient synagogue when he discovered the remains of a small house that was buried under layers of rubble and debris. The house was found to be made of local basalt stone and was partially covered by a larger building that was built in the Byzantine period. Barbagallo's team conducted further excavations and found several pieces of evidence that suggested that the house was the home of Peter, one of Jesus' apostles. These included graffiti inscriptions in Greek and Latin, as well as a large number of crosses that were etched onto the walls of the house. The graffiti inscriptions included phrases such as "Lord Jesus Christ, help your servant," and "Christ have mercy." The crosses were of different shapes and sizes, and some were etched into the walls while others were made of stone and placed on the floor. Barbagallo and his team also found evidence that the house had been used as a place of Christian worship in the early centuries of the Christian era. They found a small room that was probably used as a chapel, as well as several Christian symbols and inscriptions. At the lowest level, archaeologists discovered the ruins of a rather ordinary home from the 1st century BC. The house was plain with rough walls and an earth and straw roof, though it was a little bigger than others. It had a small number of rooms arranged in a small cluster around 2 open courtyards, just like the majority of early Roman houses. The 2 yards suggested might have been the home of 2 families, which squares with the Bible talking about the home of Peter and Andrew. There were even fish hooks recovered from the oldest layers of the house, hooks that might have been used by Peter and Andrew themselves. The home seems very ordinary, but the excavation team says that the house's uniqueness was caused by what happened to it after the middle of the 1st century AD, in which identify it as the home of Jesus. The purpose of the house drastically changed in the decades following Jesus' death. In about 50 AD, the main chamber of the house was entirely plastered from floor to ceiling, which was unusual for homes at the time. The pottery in the house, which had been domestic cooking bowls and pots, about the same time changed to large storage jars and oil lamps. Such drastic changes suggest that the house was no longer used as a place to live but had instead evolved into a community gathering space, possibly the first church building. The archaeologists also found that during the ensuing centuries, the plastered room from the original house had been renovated and converted into the central hall of a rudimentary church. The room's old stone walls were buttressed by a newly built 2-story arch that, in turn, supported a new stone roof. The room was even replastered and painted over with floral and geometric designs of various colors. The building's key role in understanding how Christianity began was confirmed by more than 100 graffiti scratched into the church's walls. Most of the inscriptions say things like "Lord Jesus Christ, help thy servant," or "Christ have mercy." They are written in Greek, Syriac, Hebrew, and Latin and are sometimes accompanied by etchings of small crosses or, in one case, a boat. That so many languages are present show that this place attracted international pilgrims. This simple church building survived for more than 300 years before it was finally replaced in the 5th century by a well-built octagonal martyrium church. Octagonal martyria were built to commemorate an important site, such as the original house of Peter that once stood here and that had become Jesus' home. Not more than 20 years after Jesus' death and resurrection, this house had become a house church commemorating Jesus, and for hundreds of years pilgrims kept coming here. There is no doubt, this was Jesus' home. This place connects us to so much of Jesus' ministry. Just across the street is the synagogue of Capernaum where he preached. In this house, he healed the mother of Peter. In this house he rose early without anybody noticing to leave the village to pray. This is the house that was so full with people visiting Jesus that friends who brought a paralytic could not enter. This is the house of which the roof was open so that they could lower the paralytic to Jesus, and Jesus healed him. This is the house where Jesus said if anyone would be first, he must be last of all and servant of all. This is the house where children came to visit Jesus, as we read in Mark 9:36. Nowadays, a modern Roman Catholic church built on stilts hovers over the remains of Jesus' home. It has a glass floor so you can see the house, like pilgrims in the 1st centuries AD. Yes, Jesus' home has been found and you can visit it. It is amazing, wonderful, and exciting.